Hi, I'm Nova. 3 years into what I thought was a dream marriage, and here I am, wondering how I missed all the red flags. You know that feeling when everything seems perfect on the surface? Yeah, that was my life with Marcus. We met at a charity gala, fell in love, and I really thought I had hit the relationship jackpot. Honey, I have something amazing to tell you. I could barely contain my excitement that morning, holding the positive pregnancy test behind my back. Can it wait? I'm running late for work. Marcus barely looked up from his phone. No, this is important. We're having a baby. The way he froze, you'd think I'd told him the house was on fire. Oh, wow. Are you sure? I mean, we never really discussed timing. Timing? We've been married 3 years. I thought you'd be excited. Yeah, just surprised. We'll talk more later, okay? That conversation should have been my first clue. But it wasn't until I dropped by his office for lunch a week later that things really started unraveling. Nova, what a surprise seeing you here. Sarah, my best friend from the legal department, caught me in the lobby. Did you hear about the new project manager? No, what about them? It's Diana, Marcus's ex. She started Monday. My stomach dropped. What? He never mentioned. That's what I thought was weird. She's been hanging around his office a lot. I was about to respond when Helen, my mother-in-law, called. Nova, dear, Marcus told us the news. Are you sure this is the right time? You're both so busy with your careers. I didn't realize I needed your approval for starting a family. Don't be sensitive, dear. We just want what's best. Maybe you should think this through more carefully. Later that evening, Sarah texted me. Hey, noticed something odd today. Marcus and Diana were having a pretty intense conversation in the break room. She looked upset. He looked guilty. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Has this happened before? A few times this week, usually when they think nobody's around. I stared at my phone, remembering Marcus's reaction to the pregnancy news, his sudden late nights at work, the way his family was acting. Nova, you still there? Yeah, just thinking. Want me to do some digging? Something feels off. Please, I need to know what I'm dealing with. As I sat there that night, watching Marcus completely engrossed in his phone, ignoring my attempts at conversation, I realized our perfect marriage might not be so perfect after all. And his family's sudden interest in my pregnancy timing. Let's just say my gut was screaming that there was more to this story. Let me revise the scene with clearer dialogue flow. The bomb dropped during Sunday dinner at my in-laws. There we sat, picking at Helen's overcooked roast, when Diana waltzed in like she owned the place. Diana stood at the head of the table. I hope you don't mind me crashing dinner. I have news that couldn't wait. Marcus choked on his wine. I watched his face turn white. Diana placed her hands on her stomach. I'm pregnant, and Marcus is the father. Robert gripped his silverware. Son, is this true? Marcus stared at his plate. We need to discuss this privately. Diana tossed her hair back. Oh, there's nothing private about it. We've been seeing each other for months. Helen reached for my hand. Nova, dear, given the circumstances, maybe it's best if you reconsider your pregnancy. I pulled away. Excuse me? Helen continued with false sympathy. Well, Marcus can't support two families. His first baby should take priority. I gripped my water glass. First baby? I'm his wife. Helen dabbed her lips. A wife who trapped him with a pregnancy. My phone buzzed. Sarah had sent screenshots. My hands shook as I opened them. I turned to Marcus. Really? I never stopped loving you? We'll figure out a way to be together? Marcus glared. You went through my phone? I held up my phone. Sarah went through company emails. You know, the ones you shouldn't be using for your affair? Helen cut in. Nova, be reasonable. Diana's baby needs a proper family. I slammed my hand on the table. And mine doesn't? Helen sniffed. You're young. You can start over. We'll help with the arrangements. I stared at my husband. Is this what you want? Marcus wouldn't meet my eyes. Look, Diana and I, we have history. This wasn't supposed to happen, but now that it has, Now that it has, what? You want me to disappear? Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Be practical. One of us has to step aside. My phone buzzed again. Sarah's message lit up my screen. Got everything recorded. Their harassment is documented. Also, interesting medical records from Diana's last workplace. Want to see? I straightened my shoulders. You know what? You're right. One of us does need to step aside. Helen smiled smugly. I'm glad you're being sensible. I leaned forward. Oh, I'm being more than sensible. I'm being strategic. Helen's smile faltered. What's that supposed to mean? I pulled out a folder. It means I've got evidence of workplace harassment, documentation of your family's pressure campaign, and something very interesting about Diana's history of pregnancy claims at her last 3 jobs. Diana paled. You're bluffing. I spread the papers on the table. Try me. Sarah's really good at her job. Should we call your former supervisor at Tech Solutions? I hear she has quite a story. Diana turned to my husband. Marcus, are you going to let her threaten me? He sat there, useless as always. Helen started sputtering about family loyalty. I gathered my things. Family loyalty? Let's talk about how you've been calling my doctor, trying to cancel my appointments. Yeah, Sarah found those records too. I'd say enjoy your dinner, but I have a feeling it's about to get really unappetizing. I walked into the family intervention with my phone recording in my purse. Helen had gathered everyone at their house, including my own parents, who looked completely confused. We're here because we care about Nova's well-being, Helen began sweetly. Her pregnancy is causing unnecessary stress. My pregnancy? Not your son's affair? Affairs happen, dear. But throwing away a child's chance at a proper family? Are you hearing this? I turned to my parents. Don't drag them into this. Diana needs support right now. She's having terrible morning sickness, just like I did with Marcus. Really? Because her social media shows her doing shots at Murphy's bar last night. Diana jumped up. You're stalking me? No, but your bartender friend Jake is my sister Jessica's boyfriend. Funny coincidence, right? My phone buzzed. Jessica texted. Got the bank records. He's trying to empty the joint accounts. Speaking of funny coincidences, Marcus, care to explain why you're transferring our savings? What? I was just moving money right after I told you about the pregnancy. Jessica's already frozen everything. You know, since she works at the bank and all. Helen stood up. You're making a mistake. Diana needs to explain why her medical records show she had her tubes tied 2 years ago. The room went dead silent. That's private medical information? From the lawsuit at your last job? The one where you claimed pregnancy discrimination, then disappeared when they demanded a medical exam? Marcus turned pale. Is this true? Before anyone could respond, Helen showed up at my office the next day, causing a scene in front of my coworkers. You ungrateful little witch, you're destroying my son's happiness. Your son destroyed that all by himself. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of woman you are. Like how you tried to cancel my prenatal appointments? Or how about your threatening voicemails? Sarah appeared with security. Mrs. Wilson, I have those voicemails right here. Should I play them for everyone? You can't treat me this way. I'm a respected member of this community. And I'm a pregnant woman you're harassing. Want to see how the community feels about that? Helen stormed out. You'll regret this. No, I really won't. By the way, Diana's ex-supervisor is holding a press conference tomorrow. Something about serial pregnancy fraud? You might want to warn your son. I turned to Sarah. Did you send those records to HR? Already done. They're launching a full investigation into workplace harassment. Good, because I'm done playing nice. Jessica called. All assets are secured. He can't touch a penny without court approval. Perfect. Let's see how they handle things when their lies start crumbling. The press conference hit like a tornado. Diana's former supervisor stood at the podium, documents in hand. This is the 3rd company where Miss Diana Reynolds has falsely claimed pregnancy for financial gain. I watched the live stream with Sarah and Jessica in my lawyer's office. The supervisor continued. All her previous settlements were confidential agreements. She used the money to move to new cities and repeat the scam. My phone started blowing up. First, Marcus? Marcus shouted through the phone. You planned this, didn't you? You've ruined everything. No, your girlfriend's lies ruined everything. How's that morning sickness going? The board is suspending me pending investigation. Funny how fraud allegations can damage a finance director's career. Helen called next. Do you know what you've done? We're being kicked off every charity board. Maybe they don't want fraudsters handling donations? The country club is revoking our membership. Hard to maintain social status when your son's a cheater and your future daughter-in-law's a con artist. Robert finally grew a spine. Nova, please, we can fix this. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. Like how you misunderstood Helen harassing a pregnant woman? Sarah tapped my shoulder. HR just fired both Marcus and Diana. The harassment evidence was overwhelming. Good thing I recorded everything. Jessica looked up from her phone. The bank's ethics committee wants to talk to Marcus about attempted asset hiding. My lawyer handed me more papers. Restraining orders granted against Helen and Diana. The judge was particularly interested in the canceled medical appointments. What about their counterclaims? Dismissed. They're lucky we're not pressing criminal charges. 6 months later, I sat in my new house, my baby bump clearly showing. Sarah and Jessica brought dinner. Sarah settled on the couch. Heard Marcus is working at his cousin's car dealership. And Diana? Jessica opened her wine. Left town after the fourth company came forward about her pregnancy scams. Helen and Robert? Moved to Florida. Apparently their social circle got too toxic here. I rubbed my belly, feeling my daughter kick. You know what's funny? They thought I'd just roll over and give up my baby. Sarah put her hand on mine. Their mistake was underestimating you. No, their mistake was threatening my child. I would have forgiven the affair. But not the harassment? The minute Helen tried canceling my doctor appointments, all bets were off. Jessica raised her glass. Speaking of bets, the divorce settlement came through. He didn't contest anything? Hard to contest when you're being investigated for financial fraud. I looked at my ultrasound picture on the fridge. Think they learned their lesson? Sarah hugged me. Who cares? You've got us now. And this little one. To karma. We raised our glasses, sparkling cider for me, wine for them. To justice served. What would you have done if you were Nova when you first discovered the messages between Marcus and Diana? Would you have confronted them immediately, or would you have gathered evidence quietly like she did? Think about it. In a situation where your spouse's entire family is pressuring you to give up your baby, would you have fought back this strategically or handled it differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective on dealing with toxic family members and standing up for yourself. If you enjoyed this story of justice served, don't forget to like and subscribe for more dramatic real-life stories. Every story has a lesson, and your engagement helps grow our storytelling community.